listening to this broadcast tonight, I would not hesitate any longer in doing what God has called you to do. Whatever your part is in this hour, you've waited long enough. It's time to accelerate with the acceleration and get out ahead of this, because that's where the Spirit of God would lead us, to get out ahead of it so we're not caught behind it or in it.
Yeah. What's very interesting about this, what is happening with the economic system in our nation, is what is taking place in Washington. This will change the face of this nation permanently. This is not something that's being passed that the next president can come in and change. This is going into law, and the economy is going to be forever changed. And from my understanding, coming September of this year, your checkbook will no longer be a valid source of payment. Everything is going to be on the blockchain. Everything is going to go through a digital marketplace. And this is very interesting because the terminology and the wording, even though they do have said this is not CBDC, it is almost a mirror of it. This is not an independent blockchain such as Bitcoin. This can be controlled, turned off, shut off if you do not align with the doctrines and laws.
Wow. Wow. And that's what a lot of people were not expecting, because, I'm not by any means an expert or even close to anything like that in the financial world. We live like the majority of people. We just kind of, God gives, He blesses, we move, we eat, we drink, we do whatever. But people that I have known to be expert in this field were always saying that Bitcoin and the currencies and the digital currencies, that they would be unmonitored. They would have their own source of, some kind of, ability to go through this without government control. But I'm hearing a little bit differently right now. Is that correct?
Yeah, so the foundation of crypto, such as Bitcoin, such as other popular coins, they are decentralized, meaning there is no central node that can turn it off or control anything. It is a transparent blockchain, meaning anything and everything is visible on an open ledger. Now, what they are bringing forth is not decentralized. It's going to have a central point of origin and control, which is the opposite of what crypto is designed for. Again, like Bitcoin, its founder, every user across the planet is its own node. There is no central point of control, meaning it can't be manipulated unless you just buy massive amounts and then dump it or buy it. But the point is, you can't turn off someone's Bitcoin because it's completely decentralized. And this is the picture they painted with this crypto bill that they're passing. But what they're not saying is this really represents the central bank digital currency that they say that it's not, because they've left back doors in the clause that allows them to be a centralized currency for this digital dollar, meaning it's not going to be decentralized. It's going to be monitored and governed by the U.S. government. Essentially, in time, they will be able to, hey, if you don't take that shot, that medicine, oh, we just turn your bank account off. Oh, if you don't do this, oh, we turn your bank account off. It's essentially the complete opposite of what Bitcoin stands for.
Wow. Yeah, it's control. And it's definitely tied to the mark of the beast. And this has been spoken of. We said it tonight in our prayer meeting before coming on the air. We've heard the prophets in the wilderness, the John the Baptist. We've heard those that were echoing the words of God. But now this is being heard everywhere. This is not one man's speculative idea or a prophetic revelation that God was giving, that these days would come. These are those days, and the voice is everywhere around the world, and the actions are backing it up. And it's now how people are going to perceive this. How am I going to respond to this? Okay, if dollar is down to about 10 cents of its worth right now, and it's going to be wiped out, and it's not going to be dollars anymore, it's going to be digital, it's going to be on my phone, it's going to be in these other places. Okay, how do I navigate with that? Because my account says I have $10,000 in it on my phone, and I could go to the store and I could do business with my phone. And some people are going to remain in denial. I call it the Egyptian believers that live on the river denial, in the land of denial. And they just will deny everything until there's nothing left. I mean, they're always going to have some logical conclusion, some manageable reasoning that is going to tell them why they shouldn't unplug, why they shouldn't come out, why they shouldn't respond to God and get done what needs to get done. Why they want to hold on just a little bit longer. And I think people forget, the dangling carrot, lead that little mousetrap, lead into it, lay the cheese out there, get that desire. And, that should be a very real concern in people's hearts right now, because this is no longer a prophet in the wilderness. This is all over the world from the highest echelons of government, like, the wars that are here now. And I don't know, maybe people will just stay in denial. I can't, and I'll tell you why in just a little bit. But yeah, amazing times.
Yeah. It's very interesting because the one person that voted against this bill, I believe her name's Margie Taylor Greene. And when
Correct.
she was interviewing with Fox, she actually went into the biblical and said this was the foundation of the biblical Revelation 13. And she said that was the reason why she voted against it. And from my understanding from several of the sources that I'm connected to, they are already testing the chip right now in Africa that will be tied to this, that will be a part of what is coming.
Absolutely amazing. We heard tonight, and you have to admit there are people listening right now that are very comfortable, because you could say anything in the world, the dollar is going to collapse, a digital currency, but every month I go to my mailbox and I get my social security check. And I have my 401ks, and I've got this over here, and I've got these different streams of finances coming into my life from this or that. Well, now they're saying, and we heard this again, that now they're telling people it's time to start signing some papers to make sure you can get your social security checks. So what is going to happen to people when the social security checks are no longer coming from the government, when you don't have the freedom to go buy something with a dollar bill that's unmonitored, but everything is going to be watched and accounted for? Where did you get this? Why did you spend it? What are your spending habits? We heard about that in China, that was going on in the credit reports. Do you pay your bills? Are you going to get a good apartment building or a bad one? We've heard that. And I really believe that people are in for an incredible surprise right now, because this is getting close to, where the rubber meets the road, and people are depending upon their social security. They're depending on the world to give them. Brother Christopher, we have zero streams of finances coming into our lives from the world. We have nothing, no stream, zero, zip, nada. We have learned to live by faith, and by faith alone, and by doing the will of God, and God is taking care of us. And it's going to have to be that way, because I don't think you could trust the money system of the world, because it either enslaves you. And remember that the lender or the borrower is slave to the lender. And everybody's getting all these loans for their houses, their cars, this, that, the other thing. And they don't realize, by going into debt, you are a slave to the institutions, to the banks, to all these different people. And for years, God's been telling his people, get out of debt, get out of debt, get out of debt, get the things you need in advance, do it. And now I fear that, I think the worst is on the horizon. We know it is. We don't think, we know. Biblically, this time of collapse is coming, and it's not play anymore. It's everywhere being
Yeah.
spoken of.